Okay, I'm back for another Portable Clint. In Hollywood, I have seen a handful of my friends make it. And I can honestly say this guy has made it. I mean, I think so. Anyway, and it's a real honor to say these words. Without further ado, two-time Emmy Award winner, Eric Stonestreet. Hey, look at that!
I'm clapping for myself.
Yes! What's up, Eric?
Hi, Clint.
How are you, friend?
Good. Do I look at you?
No,
like
you can look
mirror?
at all of us.
Oh, okay.
This is the third person having lunch with us.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah, look at that.
Looks good.
Okay.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too, man.
They can hear us okay?
Yeah, they can hear us great. Okay, Eric.
Yes.
Let's get right on into it. You want to?
Sure.
Tell me when you first thought about moving to LA.
First thought about moving to LA when I was living in Chicago. I moved to Chicago and I was there from 1996 to 1998, and probably 1997 is right around the first of the year of 97 is when I thought, hey, maybe I should move to LA.
Okay. Eric, there's about 6 pinpoints that I want to cover.
Okay.
One is, I will never forget the day I was at Sessions West. I don't know if you remember that place, but a young kid came up to me and he said, hey man, I've seen your work. I'm a fan. Your stuff makes me laugh. And it was you.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget you. For some reason, you stood out to me then. So I just want to let you know that you stood out to me from the get-go.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So
well, you stood out to me. I mean, you were so identifiable and recognizable when I moved to Los Angeles that I knew that you were somebody that was really working and having the career that I was moving here to try to find. You know what I mean?
Well,
like doing commercials, like you were doing so many of them and so memorable, so many good spots.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, enough about me. Let's make this about you. So
Okay,
you
yes.
move out here. Tell me the day you rolled in.
May 17th was my first night in Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, what year?
98.
98, okay.
I was sick. I had the flu. My friend Stacy Hennon, who I think you know.
Yes.
He basically drove me in my Ford Contour because I got sick on the road. So he did most of the driving for me, and I rolled into Burbank, moved to Verdugo and Hollywood Way at Park Point Apartments, and went to sleep. All my stuff was in boxes, went to sleep, and the first food I ate in Los Angeles was like a day and a half later was a grilled chicken sandwich from Carl's Jr. And every time I smell that food, I immediately think of my first moments in Los Angeles.
Well, and listen, let's go to the side street for a second and talk about food. How did you first find out about Bill's Burgers?
Oh, Bill's Burgers was, I saw a guy post about Bill's Burgers on Facebook that I was in a writers group with who was a big Jonathan Gold disciple. And so whenever he posted anything about food, I knew I needed to at least take a look at it.
Yeah.
And I had realized I'd driven by it 100 times in my life and never paid much attention to it because, you know, just didn't. But then I went and I'm like, okay, this is how burgers are supposed to taste. Everybody thinks like, oh my God, this is such a novelty burger. But you know where we're from. Yeah. That's just how burgers taste.
Exactly, exactly. All right, one last thing about Bill's Burgers. Have you ever noticed the thumbprint in every burger top?
No.
Check that out from now on.
Does he do that?
His thumbprint.
Oh gosh. Have you ever seen him eat the meat raw?
No. Has he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He'll eat.
Really?
The meat. When people ask him where the meat's from, he takes it as an immediate like, "What are you accusing me of?" And he eats them raw.
Okay. I gotta see that. Yeah. And I'm scared his days are numbered. I'm not being mean.
Well, he's in his 90s.
Yeah, dude. So it's gonna happen.
Shumash Indian. He's a Shumash Indian.
Yeah. His wife is. He's also.
No, she's Japanese.
Oh. Okay, all right.
Well, I don't know that that's his wife. I don't know.
Okay. Guys, check out Bill's Burgers before it's too late.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your first, so tell me, you get in, you feel better.
I feel better.
Okay.
I'm ready to start my career, yeah.
Okay, so what's the first thing you do to start your career?
Start mailing resumes and to commercial agents.
Okay.
Didn't even consider trying to get like a what we call do they still call them theatrical agents? Theatrical agent, you know. Didn't even consider that because I had a little work on a reel that in case anybody asked, I was able to send. I had done some commercials in in Chicago for Northwestern University and for college football, where I had a campaign of commercials that were, you know, pretty funny. I was painted red and stuff like that. But had enough work that I could show someone. So sent a bunch of resumes out, headshots and resumes. Do they still do that? They don't do that
I think they still do.
Do they?
I don't think they take them at the actual audition, but for some reason, they're still printing them up.
I mean, I remember thinking when I first moved out here, I didn't have anything to do. If I didn't have anything to do, what I would do was just sit and staple resumes to headshots and think like, okay, well, I'm doing part of my job.
Exactly,
right
exactly.
So I sent them. I just submitted. I just started submitting.
Okay, who did you get? Who and how did you end up with?
I think my first commercial agent, Crazy Full Circle, was right across the street at Sutton Barth and Venari.
Oh, okay, yeah.
SPV.
Yeah. All right. Now, you start booking. When do you start booking?
Man, I can't remember. I haven't thought about what my first commercial in Los Angeles was, but I think it was for a cellular phone commercial or a Honda commercial where I was kind of a featured. It was principal, but I didn't have any lines, and it was with Brooke Burke. She was doing extra. I can't remember what it was, but maybe 6-7 months after I got here.
Okay, when do you get? I don't want to go too far in front, but when did you get hooked up with Pitka?
Joe Pitka was roughly 99, 2000, because my first commercial with him was in 2000. I auditioned for an American Express commercial, and they'd all warned me, you're going in for a callback for this guy, just be careful. I'm like, well, what's he gonna do to me? They're like, just watch yourself, just watch it. So I went in and, you know, he's like, where are you from? I'm like, Kansas City. Where are you from? Pittsburgh. I'm like, okay, we got that out of the way. And so I left, and I get a phone call, and this was after I'd moved to a different commercial agent, I think, because I don't think I stayed with SBB for that long. I think I had moved. And that's one thing I will tell you. I was never scared of, like,
getting out,
moving on.
There's a lot of people who like that security. They're not getting out, but they feel secure because they have a place.
Best thing I tell people is having no agent is way better for your career at times than having a crappy one, because it makes you active and proactive and gets you doing the things that you need to do, because you become complacent. Well, it's like, well, they're gonna call, they might call, they said they were calling. Well, you can create all these excuses in your head that sometimes don't work out. So I went in for this American Express commercial, we met, and then I got a phone call that said, hey, you're not going to get that American Express commercial. I'm like, okay, thanks for the heads up. Like, you don't need to tell me that I'm not getting it. But the reason for the call was because they said Joe liked you and he wants to work with you at some point.
Oh, okay, that's big. Okay, now, so after I met you, I see you around, right?
Yep.
But then you make a big splash with a job that stood out to all of us commercial actors. Dude, you did something big. Do you know what that was?
In the commercial?
No.
Oh, Almost Famous?
Almost Famous.
That was so exciting, dude.
Tell me about Almost Famous, because your part, it's not that you had a part in a movie, you had a great part in a movie.
Well, Cameron Crowe made that. He took care of me. That happened because I was doing improv at Improv Olympic, and my coach at the time said she wanted her agent to come see us perform. So she came down, saw us perform, decided, hey, I'm going to start sending you out on auditions, you know, TV role things. And I think I booked a small part on Dharma and Greg.
Yep.
And met another great guy, J.D. Walsh, at that time.
Awesome dude.
Awesome guy. We would be going in, and I would always see him, and he got the job that, like, I wanted on the show first, that I auditioned for, but eventually got cast on Dharma and Greg. Then, I'm not kidding you, like, got called in for the Philip Seymour Hoffman part in Almost Famous. Went in, you know, scared, nervous to death, but did the best I could. And it's a, you know, good lesson for actors. You know, when you think, well, there's no way I'm going to get this part, that still doesn't mean you can't do a good job. And she's like, you know, you're not going to get this part. I'm like, okay, thanks again. Don't really need to tell me that.
Wow.
There's a recurring theme here. But she said, you know, I would like Cameron to meet you. I think he'd really like you. And,
wow, man.
But you know how that is.
Yeah.
We even think, like, well, that's never going to happen.
Exactly.
That's just,
yeah.
We're used to hearing so many things that don't ever pan out.
Yep.
But sure enough, true to her word, she called, and I had a call back with Cameron Crowe for an unknown role, and he just...
Did you have those? Did you have the same dialogue you had at the audition that's in the movie?
Yeah. When I got there, then they gave me that, and Cameron had an old camcorder. Well, we think of it as an old camcorder. Sure. It was a new camcorder then, but he's just following me around the room. He's like, "Okay, now do it," and he was like saying, "All right, now show me this emotion. Show me this." I mean, he literally made me feel like a movie star.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I was so scared, so nervous, and I left there thinking like, "Well, that was cool." And then they called and said that I was going to do it in the thing.
Okay, so you do it. Was it one day?
No, it was a week.
Really? Where?
Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel.
Why did that part take a week?
Because there's a shot in the movie that did not make it into the movie. That's a huge. Think of the Hollywood Roosevelt lobby. Yeah. And John Toll was the director of photography, and they had this huge shot that just took forever. I mean, to shoot, and it just didn't make it in, and I was in the background of all of that shot.
Oh, okay.
At the desk. But here's a really cool thing about that is every actor's worst nightmare. I heard the director and the DP arguing on whether they needed to turn around on me or not. Like,
and you're listening.
And I'm hearing.
I'm
here. Turn around. Turn the camera around and see my face. He's like, "No, we got him from here." And Cameron's like, and I remember hearing Cameron go, "No, this guy's face is hilarious. We got to turn around on this guy," and sure enough, that they turned around.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Okay, so you film it. Did you think that this was it? You think that you're going to get going? Oh. Like you thought you were going to be a big star then?
I don't remember thinking that. I remember thinking like, okay, this is meaningful, because I knew how hard it was to even get an audition for a feature film, and then to get cast because it's just such small numbers. So I knew it would be meaningful, and then that. It was, and in that, it gave casting directors something to talk about. Yes. It gave my agent something to talk about. Say, well, Cameron Crowe put him in a movie that's produced by Steven Spielberg, so he can't be that bad. Because as we know, everybody's scared of something in this business. So when somebody else can vouch for you, and when they can say, well, Cameron Crowe thinks he's good, so he must be good. I mean, even though that's absurd.
No, you're absolutely right.
People like to be able to say that. So I knew that would be helpful.
Okay, so the movie comes out. Tell me what happens like the day it comes out. You get phone calls. Tell me how that works.
Did get some phone calls. Did get some phone calls from people just saying good job. The craziest, weirdest thing is I got a phone call from my friend who worked at MGM at the time and said, "Dude, you're in the Hollywood Reporter today." And I'm like, "Why am I in the Hollywood Reporter?" And the editor of the movie, of Almost Famous, for his nomination for consideration, he chose me as the screenshot from the whole movie. So it looked like you're scrolling through it, and it's like Russell Crowe for Gladiator, Julia Roberts for this, and then it comes to Almost Famous, and it's me. I'm like, well, why am I in there? But more than anything, it gave, like I said, casting directors, and I remember the first time it happened, I went and auditioned for CSI, and when I walked into the room, the casting director said, "This is Eric Stonestreet. You might know him from his role in Almost Famous," and it's like, you
got to be known for something.
Something.
Yes. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, I mean that could be just enough right there, but we continue on.
Oh.
Okay. So you do that movie, and then tell me what's next. I guess when does Pitka come into play? When does that little series happen?
Around then. I mean,
did you think he took notice of you more when he saw you in that movie?
No, I don't think he saw me in that movie, and I don't think he had any idea. I think his taking notice of me was our interaction in my audition, and then just being capable. I mean, a lot of people audition for Joe, and I don't know what his rhyme or reason was for hiring for people, but he and I clicked somehow.
You know what my favorite commercial you did was the IBM commercial where they drop in on you and you're like three criminals and you're like looking around.
Yeah, Bobby Lee is in that commercial.
Yes, he sure is. You guys are all in black, maybe like you're about to break into a bank or something. Yep. Okay. How many commercials did you do for Joe?
Man, in the 40s.
Really?
40s or 50s. Yeah, because I did IBM, and there was a campaign which was like 19 or 20 commercials just in that one campaign.
Wow, wow, wow. And with Pitka, you just get a phone call saying, "Hey, we need you on the set."
That's how I worked with him for the first time. Was he called and said, you know, they called and said, "You're not getting this American Express commercial with Tiger Woods, but he wants to work with you at some point." And then, sure enough, like a couple months later, I was told to show up at Long Beach Harbor. You're shooting a commercial with Joe Pitka, and I'm like, I have no idea what it was.
Okay, so you do 40 Pitka commercials. Okay, that could just be enough. But let's continue on. Then I start seeing you on CSI. And I thought, oh, this is just a one-time gig. But it wasn't. Tell me about the audition for CSI. Did you think it'd be just a one-time shot?
No, I auditioned for a recurring role as the coroner. And I didn't, and I left the room for the assistant coroner that David Berman played. And I left the audition and it was raining. It was in Santa Clarita. I was wearing my purple raincoat that I thought, well, someday I'm going to be able to wear this raincoat. And it was that day. And I remember getting out almost to my car and them calling me and saying, "Hey, come back. They want you to read for another part."
That's always exciting.
That's all. Yeah. That is exciting. Yeah, it is. Conversely, it's really exciting when they say, "Thank you, Clint," and let you leave.
Exactly.
And you're like, "But do you want me to stay longer?"
No, thank you.
No, we're good. Literally, leave.
Leave.
So they came, asked me to come back in and read for something else. And I ended up getting that part, the questionable documents technician.
You do what?
15
15 of them. How did that end?
Just didn't call me anymore. No more documents need to be examined, I guess.
Did you get in your head about that? Like, why is that happening?
Very much so. That's a cool story there, just amongst itself, because CSI was a brand new show that fall, and I started watching it. And by the end of the season, I was on the last 3 of the 4 episodes.
That is awesome.
Which is really neat.
Yes.
I was like, became a fan of the show. Yeah. So that was fun. But yeah, it just petered out. I always thought maybe I did something wrong, or but of course we all think that. I mean, we all think that.
Okay. So we're continuing. So when does that end? When do you think your last CSI was?
Don't know. 2004, 5, something like that.
Okay. I don't want to start talking about this, but when's Modern Family? When do you book the pilot?
2009.
Okay. So those 5 years between that and that, how were those 5 years?
Commercials and guest stars on TV shows, just like everything else. Auditioning, getting close. Booked one pilot for Fox, a drama with Matthew Lillard and Robert Forrester, where I played kind of a bad guy, and then booked a pilot presentation, tested for The Office on tape. Which
I think there's videos of you out and about showing that.
Yep. Tested for that. So had some close calls with things. But you know how it is. It's like not feeling that like super creatively fulfilled. Not that I ever considered myself like, some, artist that needed to be fulfilled, but like I was getting close on things and it was getting frustrating.
Okay, I remember, so here are 2 points that I remember about you before you got the big yes, okay? I remember going to an audition in the Valley. And I was walking into the audition, and I saw you. You were
jump up and click my heels together and go yes.
No.
Okay.
You were hanging out outside of a drum shop.
Oh yeah.
And there was a whole bunch of character actors like me going into this audition, and I looked over there, and I looked over at you, and I go, "Oh, dude, there's Eric." So I walked over there, and this is me perceiving this. I didn't perceive it, but I thought you were kind of like looking over there like, dude, why am I not invited to that audition?
Sure, of course.
So that always stuck out to me, which made you making it even, was even a better story for me, because I saw the before and after, but yet I saw you one more other time before you made it. And I believe it was I want to say a week or 2 before you had your pilot audition for Modern Family. I saw you at Ocean Park at an audition, and you were just sitting by yourself.
Crying.
And Eric, you felt dejected. You looked dejected. You looked like you were about to figure out how to buy some boxes to move back home. I'm not kidding you. I'll never forget it. And then like a week or so later, I remember hearing about you you booking a pilot. But anyway, I don't want to get too far on. But am I true about those 2 times?
Well, I think I remember the time of seeing you outside of a drum shop, because I did hang outside of a drum shop, and I definitely would have been like, "What's going on over there?"
Yeah.
Am I not? What's it?
Yeah. Because we were, I mean, there was a lot of us character actors, and I
course.
felt so bad for you. I literally felt bad.
Yeah.
And I went over there and hung out with you for a little bit.
Thank
I don't know if you
for
remember.
doing that.
And you showed me a drum thing or something.
Oh, yeah. You came into the drum shop?
Yeah.
And then as far as Ocean Park goes, I was probably just dejected because I had to drive to Ocean Park from the Valley. That was a long jaunt. But no, depending on the timing, like before Modern Family, I knew I was starting to kind of run out of my patience a little bit when I was at an audition very close to when I got Modern Family, and it was for a Sears callback, and you were supposed to be in a suit and tie, and when I got there, the guy was like, "Where's your suit and tie, bro?" I'm like, "Oh, did they build the set inside there too?" And he goes, "What?" And I said, "Did they build the set inside there for this callback?" And he goes, "No." And I go, "Then they can get past it. I don't have a suit and tie on." And I'm like, "Okay, I need to chill out for just a minute." You know, but
Yep. I know, dude.
So I knew I was getting frustrated, and you could have seen me in the time where I got, had auditioned for it, and they passed on me because I had auditioned for Modern Family a couple times, and they were like, "You're good and everything, but we're not gonna hire you." That happened. So it just depends on when it was, but yeah, could have very well been.
Okay, so right before you go in to book it for good, like the very last time you auditioned for it, were your acting abilities at the tightest? Were you working on your acting abilities? Where were you in your career that you felt like, were you good at being an actor at that point?
Well, the character clicked for me right when I got it. Matt Corboy, who you also know, came over, and he had an audition for Cameron Tucker for a show called My American Family, and asked me to help him with it and kind of go over it with him, as we all do for each other,
Right.
So we just rolled over it together, and the whole time I'm thinking like, well, I want to audition for this. And after we were done, he was like, "Dude, you need to audition for this." I'm like, "Well, I'm going to try to get an audition, for it for sure." More than anything though, Clint, I knew I had the ability, but what prepared me for it was just the experience of auditioning.
Yeah.
People are always surprised to hear that auditioning and acting are two completely different things. In my opinion, when you go in for an audition, you have a very limited amount of time to tell someone something. A, that you're a good actor. B, that you're a good business partner. That you're not crazy, that, you have to convey a lot of information in that brief amount of time.
Yeah.
And acting, I'm in the room, so that hopefully that goes without saying that I'm qualified to be there.
Right.
And I had confidence in myself, and I knew I was a character actor, and I had been creating characters for a long time. Now, Cameron was no one that I'd ever sort of played before.
I know this is everybody knows this part of the story, but it's based on your mom, the character?
Yeah, well, that's just what I used as kind of a guidepost, because, I wanted to play a character that they had written fairly broad, with the whole Lion King moment in the pilot, but yet on paper they said not too over the top. And I'm like, well, then probably wouldn't be introducing a baby to Lion King music if they're not too over the top. So I had to sort of be a slave to both of those things.
Sure, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Over the top and not too over the top.
Well, okay. So you do it. So you say you auditioned how many times altogether?
Well, twice normal for producers, and then again for producers, and then twice for studio, and then for network.
Okay, so you do
4 times.
So you do your last one. You go home. After that last one.
Yeah.
When do you find out?
Oh man, it's quick. Marshall Bell, you gotta have Marshall Bell do this sometime with you. Marshall Bell's amazing. But Marshall Bell, he's from Oklahoma, and he taught me a long time ago, Hollywood's a town with the fastest yes and the slowest no.
Dang, that is good.
The fastest yes and the slowest no.
Dude, that
and
is
it takes
so
time
true.
to learn that. That when because people say, well, did you hear anything? Did you hear anything? It's like, no, I didn't hear anything. Well, you have heard, usually.
Yeah.
That's the no. So in the Modern Family, and when I finally got it, is a good example of that, because I was pulling in my driveway. The test was at ABC. I lived in Valley Village, so it's a 15-minute, 12-minute drive. And by the time again, raining on that day. Raining when I left that parking lot. when I pulled in, I was on the phone with my mom and dad and said,
telling them how it went?
How it went, because I never involved them in most things unless it was big. And so I would, you know, call them the night before and say, you know, tomorrow, let's call Sister Andrea and Father Dennis and everybody that you know and send some positive vibes this way.
Amen.
And so I was calling to tell them how it went and said, you know, listen, I'll let you know. And then my phone beeped in and it was my manager.
Wow. Okay, what were the words she used?
Steve Kavovitz, my manager, through line, has been forever, still is. And then my agent at the time, it was both of them on the phone, and Steve started the conversation off with saying, well, Stoney, listen, man, you know better than anybody that there's ups and downs. And, you know, they thought you were great. And
is he kind of milking this?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I've never let him forget about it. He goes, this is just one of those days, though. This is just one of those days where it didn't go bad. You got the part. I'm like, what?
Oh, dude, I got goosebumps, man.
Crazy.
That is, that's
and
awesome.
I'm like, you mother.
Okay, and this is just to say that you got the part for the pilot.
Yeah.
You shoot the pilot. How long between to know when it gets picked up?
Well, that was in February. We shot the pilot in March. The pilot was picked up in May. And I always say the biggest moment wasn't when I got the part, because that was my job to go in and get the part. The biggest moment wasn't when it got picked up, because, you know, that was the creator's job, was to make it good enough that it got picked up. The biggest moment was when they picked up the back 9 order. That's the big moment. That's the time, because that's the time when you start thinking like, okay, that means I'm going to have a job for a year. I'd never had a job for more than 8 days in my life, consecutively, hired.
Right. Yes.
So that's when you start thinking like, okay, well, now I'm going to have a job for 24 episodes, 24 weeks. And if they're going to pick it up for 1 year, why wouldn't they give it a shot next year? And if they're going to pick it up next, so you start really figuring out like, I could be on TV for like 4 years. And then if you're on TV for 4 years, then there's syndication, and they're not going to just let it go then. So then you start thinking of how this could possibly be a real thing.
And what season did you just wrap?
We just wrapped season 10.
That's awesome.
We're going to finish up with season 11.
Okay, well, hang on a second, because there's my last point that I want to point out. Your acceptance speech for your first Emmy, that meant something to me. It's something you said in that speech that always stood out to me. You said, hey, I was just like all these other actors on the 405 going to auditions. I knew what you meant. That meant going to either West Side Casting or Ocean Park.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. I'm like, well, dude, this guy took the same drives that I took in order to make it. That gave me a lot of hope when I heard you say those words.
Well, that was the intention, because, you know, I do consider myself very lucky, because I know so many people, you're one of them, completely qualified to do jobs big and whatever, TV shows, that just haven't had that moment, but an opportunity and piece of luck. But the thing that unifies us is that we have to go there. We have to get in our car, muster up the ability to say, I can do this, I can do the best I can, and then let the parts and the pieces fall where they may. But the thing that you can control is showing up and being there. And that's what I wanted everybody to know, is like, I'm here because I went to every freaking audition. Any time of the day. I never missed. I never was like, I'd rather play golf today.
There are some of us who do that. Well, I'm not saying I'm guilty of that, but you are, because it's so easy to do.
It is.
And the fact that you kept doing it, I mean, that says a lot. And that's the reason why my hat off to you, brother.
Hat off to you.
Okay, so here it is. Tell me this. Now we're going to start winding down. What do you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning worried about? Because if it's me, am I ever going to make it? You've made it. So what's your 3 o'clock worry? Do you have a 3 o'clock worry?
Of course. I mean, the thing that people must understand is life's complexities don't go away. Sometimes they're just exacerbated with perception of success or perception of money or whatever it is. They don't like stop. Family issues, personal issues, sick dogs, dying dogs,
Yeah.
whatever it is, those don't go away. So I still have the 3 o'clock worries that are less about my career than they used to be, obviously, and I've taken very serious in the last 10 years that I am selective with what I'll even go and audition for, not because I'm lazy, but because I tell my manager all the time, like, I had 13 years to know what being unemployed was like.
Yeah, yeah.
13 years of not knowing where my next job was coming from, or where my next paycheck was coming from, or if that person likes me, or if they want to call me back because I did good in their audition, even though I wasn't wearing a suit and tie, you know, or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So let me equal the 13 years of having employment and satisfaction and security and confidence of knowing that I don't have to go impress anyone right now.
Right, right, right.
You know,
yeah,
like, just let me feel this
Yes.
for the same amount of time, and then I'll worry about what's next afterwards.
Okay, well, let me ask you that question. Here's the last, I got 2 last questions. Number 1, do you ever go to sag.org to see what residuals are coming in?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Of course. That's such a funny question. That's such a funny question.
Okay, last one. What do you dream of next?
You know, well, with TV changing the way it has, I mean, I feel like I got on a sitcom sort of at the last.
I believe you did. Yep.
Network television half-hour sitcom is sort of I was real lucky as far as the timing of that goes. And so with the platform of TV, how it is like, you know, somebody just imagining and understanding that Cameron and the character that I play on Modern Family is a character, and then giving me enough time to get away from people, even though syndication is going to make sure that I'm in people's lives for probably a long time. But just to, you know, Woody Harrelson, just go away and just...
That's a great...
piss off and then come back and find something that I'm excited to do. But, you know, I'm from Kansas, and what my roots are, and like the people that I know and grew up with, and I'd love an opportunity to play somebody like that, you know, somebody that I'm, you know, familiar with. But I'm also sensitive to the fact that people will think like, oh, well, he's just trying to distance himself from this or whatever. It's like, you know, I just want to take the time and figure out exactly what I want to do, and whether it's in the entertainment industry or not, I have no idea. I love football, you know.
Yeah, you do. And what's your college team?
Kansas State.
You love them, right?
I love
and
them.
You love Kansas City Chiefs. Look at that right there.
Yeah, Chiefs. So, you know, there's a possibility that, you know, I just do, you know, find something outside of the business to do for a while at least, and then
I bet you don't. I bet you don't. I bet soon as the last season's about to happen, something's going to happen, and you're just going to keep working.
Well, potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe. But the other thing is that people have to understand is, like, we have had such a crazy utopia with Modern Family, meaning the cast. We all like each other. Ed O'Neill is the best. He's a legend, and he's so cool and nice, and he set the tone for our show, so we don't have like divas or anything like that. So I can't imagine me going to a show now and then working with somebody and they're like, well, so-and-so's not coming out of their trailer, and you're like, I'm sorry, what? Like, they're not coming out of where? Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine that happening. I'm having a difficult time. Yeah. So that's scary to me.
Okay.
And so then I think, like, well, you know, maybe I'll figure out something to do with friends, you know, or maybe I love hosting sort of things.
Yeah, I enjoyed you with the kids.
The toy box?
Yeah.
I did too. I liked it, and that was fun, but you know, I love cooking, I love sports, so maybe there's a road show. I love road show. My favorite movies are road movies.
Really?
Planes, Trains, Midnight Run.
Yep,
you know, those are two of my favorite.
Yeah.
So something on the road is exciting to me. I love to get out there and see America.
Yeah. Well, Eric, is there a last piece of advice or something you want to tell them?
We went over time.
We're good.
You sure?
I'm sure. Anything you want to say last?
Well, yeah, there's a ton of stuff that I would want to say for people that are watching, because I know, you know, the nature of why they're watching is because they're, you know, they're looking for hope or advice. Sure. Or, you know, just a little bit of nugget to stay in it. And you know, I was never tethered to like making it. I was tethered to, you know, success, finding success, and with success, making it comes, you know?
Yep.
But I just was tethered to my abilities, what I thought my talents were. And then it took time to get to a place of the paradigm shifting in my brain of like, oh really, you don't want to hire me? Okay. Your fault. I mean, your loss.
Yeah.
That takes a long time to learn. It's not cocky. There's a difference. It's just understanding that you are talented enough, good enough, prepared enough. That's the big word. Prepared enough to go in there and kill it. And then if they don't want to hire you, then it's not on you. And that's hard to get to. It's a hard place to get to. I literally would wad my sides up as I left the room.
Same here.
Not in a dismissive way.
Oh.
Just
get rid of them. I know. That's what I'll
let the casting director see you do that.
Okay, good.
Do you say anything when you do that? Okay, good. Clint, do you?
No.
Okay.
I mean, no.
No, but you know, the thing is you go in ready to kill it, but you have to leave knowing you didn't get it.
Yeah. No, you're right. You are absolutely right. Easier said than done, but you're right.
But that physical act of tossing my sides away, my script away, because it's just reprinting them if you get called back. That's all it is.
You're right.
That helps.
I've reprinted many times.
Yeah, well, good. And then I just say, you know, you have to show up. You have to be there. You have to be in the room to impress someone. And acting coach of mine in Chicago told me a long time ago, the chances of you getting the part you're auditioning for, slim to none. But the opportunity for you in that moment to impress the person is 100%.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good
100%.
That's a good one right there, Eric. I like that one a lot. Eric.
So show up, do your best, prepare, don't plan, and let them feast. Feast on you.
That's good.
Give them both barrels. Can we say both barrels?
Yeah. No.
Right. Both barrels.
Both barrels. Eric, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Tell everybody bye.
Bye.